Sam, and I want to welcome everybody to today's program. It's a pleasure to have you here. I guess I want to talk first about our agenda. First and foremost, your bank is going to get a report card. When I was a compliance officer, I was not aware originally that my compliance program was going to receive its own individual rating. That was kind of new to me. So your job, if you're the compliance officer, your job does get a review and does get a rating when your examiners come in. Now, when we talk about your bank, we're talking about your report card. You're going to audit and you're going to attain and maintain a level of compliancy, and it is your report card when your examiners come in and audit you. They're going to audit what you do, how it's done, what work is tested. They're going to go in and verify what you tested to look at your results and see if they agree with those. If your examiners do agree with those, when they go in and spot check, they're going to rate your program and they're going to rate that level of effectiveness. That is, what did you look at? When did you look at it? How often did you look at it? What did you find? Did they agree with your findings? What were the audit report results, and what was done to correct it so that you can avoid the repeat violations? It's an important thing that you have a process that's going to help you provide this consistency, a strong approach to monitoring, to auditing, to correcting, and to tweaking as necessary, and then all that reporting that's going to go to senior management, that's going to go to the board of directors, because they are the ones who are ultimately responsible. In my small bank, the board of directors sent information down, but it was really senior management that had to do everything, and that passed things down to me to ensure that I was going to help get it done. Most of what we're going to talk about today is going to deal with auditing. Now, whether you're auditing deposits or loans or RESPA or signage or UDAP or whatever, most of what we talk about today is going to be applicable in general. Then we're going to focus on some issues such as policies and procedures that are going to help guide you. We're going to talk about the steps to get started on an audit. Again, that's kind of a general thing. Conducting the audit, a general thing. It's going to be applicable whether you're looking at specific things like we're going to focus on today, Reg D, E, CC, and DD, truth in savings, some funds availability. We're going to mention BSA. BSA is kind of an entire new topic. But as we talk about looking at deposits, I'm going to tell you about some of the things that I had that were good and that were bad over the 20 years, 20-plus years that I was at the bank. We're going to talk about reporting those results to the board of directors and senior management, because that is what's going to lead to that second to the last bullet item on your agenda that deals with follow-up. Follow-up is critical. It's one thing for an examiner to come into your bank and to find an error. It is a completely different thing for them to come in and find the same error again, especially if it's a critical issue. If it's something that would lead to civil money penalties, that's a big deal. If it's a minor issue, we got hold dates wrong on the Reg CC notices. Reg CC has been a thorn in many bankers' side. There's always some compliance violations there. When you have a regulation that goes down to like GG or whatever it is in definitions, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in that reg, so there's a lot of places to mess up. It's unfortunate that we have some of the common things, but when it is a common thing, when it's an issue that's not a major issue, repeat violation is not a killer. If it's something that your examiners had to cite you for in the past, then it has a little more importance, because now the examiners, your regulatory examiners that come in, don't feel like they got the respect that they deserve because you didn't fix the problem. If the problem went away and then came back, is it a training issue? We're going to have to look at some of those things. So we're going to talk about some tips and resources. Now, Sam alluded to the huge number of downloads that you had. If you haven't printed all those, I wouldn't rush out right now to do it. We're going to quickly go over some of these because it's important as I go through today's materials. The first item that was on that list to download was an Excel spreadsheet. I'm just going to give you an overview. And in fact, I'm going to open these on my computer to look at them. You're not going to see it on your screen, but in case you don't have it printed, I want you to have a familiarity with what it is as I go through the slides and start to talk about it. When I talk about the sample size calculator, this is an Excel spreadsheet. It'll work with the current version back. I mean, it was created many versions ago. I created this based on the Federal Reserve Board's sampling methodology. And what this is, some banks will say, well, I have to look at 100% of the Reg CC hold notices. I have to look at 100% of the Reg E claims. Well, no, not necessarily. If you use this sampling methodology, statistically speaking, if you follow this, you will be 90% correct. So if you come back and say this is the number of violations we have, you would be right 90% of the time if you looked at the entire universe, the entire population of those Reg E claims or hold notices or loans or whatever the case may be. So this gives you a 90% accuracy rate. That's what it's designed to do. There are other methodologies for doing sampling. We're going to talk about a couple of them a little later. This is one statistical sampling methodology. There are other free programs that are out there. There are some programs that you can pay for, but this is one that if you go in, the universe is your entire population of whatever it is you're going to look at. Say you're going to look at Reg E claims, and you go to that department that handles that, and they say, we have, for the period that you're going to audit, you're going to do this on an annual basis as an example, and you say we have 1,000 Reg E claims over the entire period of that year that we're going to look at. In this sample size calculator spreadsheet, you're going to enter one number. You're going to enter 1,000. I just did that, and it came back and it said, okay, your sample size has to be 82. So hopefully you've gotten a listing from this department of those 1,000 records. And essentially you're going to say, okay, I'm going to look at 82 of these files. I'm going to start with record number 12. That's a random number generator that it pulled up. And I'm going to look at every 12th file after that. So you're going to count down to 12, and then the next 12, 12, 12, 12, and you're going to wind up with 82 files. Now, the record number that you start with is generally not going to be, it just happens that in this case that it came out to be the same as the counted interval. But that's going to give me a sampling size that says if I look at those 82 files, I will have 90% of the same results as if I looked at the entire 1,000. So from a time management perspective, would you rather look at 82 files and get to just about that same assurance of accuracy? If you go through and you say, I didn't find any errors, well, there's probably very few errors in that entire 1,000 then. And that's what this is meant to lead you down that path. So you enter one number and it gives you the sample size, what record you're going to start with in the counted interval. The key is that you're going to have a list in advance, or somebody's going to have a list of that quote-unquote universe that you have to look at. The next item is a sampler boilerplate violations, and that's a Word document. That is something that I created simply to make things go faster. If you download that, I've got it in red at the top that I came from an OCC bank, and I'm from a Texas bank, so I have things that are particular to OCC and to Texas. If those don't apply to you, delete them and replace them. But what I did was I went through, as I did my audits, and as I went through regulations that changed, or when I started my program going through the regulations in the first place, and I captured the citation, and I condensed or paraphrased, as needed sometimes, what that particular citation required. And I put it all into one document in an order that I could then follow down. And it's probably numeric, largest or smallest to largest. So I might start out with 12 CFR 22.3. I'll work my way up through 1003. In this particular case now there are some changes because the CFPB took over some of the regs, and so we have a different numbering order. But you can certainly put them in whatever order you feel comfortable with. Might be lending and then operations, or you just put them in whatever lowest to highest order so that you can find it. Then, when I'm going through my audit work papers and I say, oh, here's a violation of this particular citation, I go